now talk about how to teach rookies. If you're going to explode your business, you're always dealing with rookies, and you've got to have a system. So I want to give you some ideas that I always use to teach rookies or trainees, however you want to look at it, how to make things happen. So this would actually be how to teach rookies how to make things happen. It's easy to teach them how you make the sales and how you answer the questions, but making things happen, making growth occur, stirring things up, and that's how you get into the superstar level. When things are going down, how to turn it around. When you have a problem, how to solve the problem, make it turn out good. How to inspire people who are stalled out and get them back on track. That's what superstars wind up doing. And if you have a system, you have that in your mind to teach your people how to do that and a system for doing that, you're going to be more successful than somebody who just hopes it happens. And is this something that'd be fun for you to talk about, and why?
Yeah, of course it's fun to talk about, because one of the things is that you're always dealing with new people, and the key in this business is you got to learn how to really teach someone from the start how to make something happen. Because if they start making something happen for them, they can make something happen for others. And then you start seeing a light bulb click, and they start wanting to be more of a student, get more into the training. It's just this is a key element right here.
Yeah, the thing is, while they're in their training phase, you want to get them to master those 5 things, 5 aspects of becoming a star. You give them a good foundation, 5 foundational type areas. But as you're doing that, you also want to get them to where if they never saw you again, when they graduate out of the training center, if they never saw you again, they were dropped out of the sky. That's what we used to talk to our people about. If we took you in out of here and dropped you out of the sky with a parachute, and you parachuted you into some new state, some new town, and we said, colonize that for us, open it up, build a business, get our name in there, pioneer that area for us, be the pioneer. That's what I was. I was the first one to expand north of Atlanta. Bill Arundel was the first one to go west. He went to Dallas. I went to North Carolina. We were the pioneers. So, of course, I was certifiably insane. I didn't know what I was getting myself into, but that's a requirement for being a pioneer a lot of times. You can't, or an entrepreneur. You can't be too worried about what you're getting into. You're more excited about what you're going to do and confident in your ability and your support system than you are about what you're going to run into. Whatever you run into, we're going to solve it. And so you want to get them to that confidence. See, that's these 5 things. How do you get them to that point where they not only have it, but they're confident about it? I always say I was certifiably insane, but I was confident. Maybe it was not that well-founded, but it must have been. It turned out pretty well. I was confident that if I didn't know it, I would learn it. If I didn't know it, I would ask questions and I'd figure it out. And so you've got to have, the idea is hopefully they won't ever be dropped out of the sky, won't have to start from scratch again. But you have to be prepared for it. If you're prepared to do this, Joe, you're not afraid of it. And you can't, in leadership and management, you can't be afraid of starting over. And disasters happen in life. You've got to call shots, and if you're worried and you're being defensive, you're never going to call the right kind of decisions. You're going to be hesitant. You're going to be doubtful. And so this is a key. Hopefully you never have to do it, but you got to be ready to do it. You agree with that, Joe?
Oh, absolutely. You have to be ready at all times. You never know when things are going to change. You never know what's coming.
And the other thing is for you running a training center, you're up in Jersey. Have you expanded? Are you in New York yet?
No, I'm in Jersey.
How many locations do you have?
We have 1 location.
1 location. So, like if a nuclear warhead came out of the Taliban decided they're going to blow up New York or New Jersey, and they started with your office, you'd be sucking gas.
I'd be sucking wind. I would just hope my RVPs are not in the same office at the same day.
Yeah, or again, if a hurricane hits or whatever, anything happen, you're vulnerable. So you like multiple locations, and for that to happen, you've got to duplicate. You got to put people out there. You want to get in multiple states. Why not? You have a vision for expansion so that you can have stability. You want to take the message of your business to the marketplace. That's just a natural process of growth. And once you outgrow the United States, you want to go global. So to develop rookies, you want to develop rookies. But the problem is as you develop rookies, and you start turning control over to your team, you wind, and they're untrained. You could probably do more yourself than 20 of them combined, because you're actually going to be doing it. They're going to be fumbling around, sticking a pin in their eye, and you're out there producing, but you're always going to be producing if you don't turn it over to them. And if they're stumbling and fumbling around this week, next week, they could be better. So you have to develop those rookies, but a danger is slumps, isn't it? Because you don't have the control in it. Is one of the problems is how can you not only develop rookies, but also explode your business, have your business. See, if you explode your business, that means your rookies are doing well. That's how you explode your business. And then the ones that do very best, they get promoted out, and they open that new location, that new outlet for you. And open enough of them, pretty soon you're in multiple states, and you're starting to compound. They're producing themselves. But to get that going, you got to start turning over, delegating a lot of these things over to the rookies, and that does lead to slumps. Have you run into that, Joe?
Yes. That's the key right now, and I'm ready for it. How do you get out of those slumps?
Not only how do you get out of it, how about if we avoid entirely?
There you go.
Once you're in a slump, the thing about a slump is usually it takes 5 months to get out of a slump.
Wow.
Yeah, usually it's 5 months. And you know why?
Why?
First month, you're in denial. We really didn't have a slump. We just didn't get a lot of stuff in. That and the other didn't show up in the computer. So the first month is denial. The second month, still in denial. Third month, you start to come out and you say, we're in a slump. But by this time, you're into it. The fourth month, you start to come back up. You start your turnaround. And then by the fifth month, you go on an activity surge, an advertising campaign, let's get some people in here. Let's get the activity stirred up here. You ramp up your activity. You say, we got to change. Third month, you're making your changes, installing your plan. You're out in the streets making your changes. The fifth month, it shows up. Now, I'm not saying that happens 100% of the time, but I am saying it happens 98% of the time, only because I've got 40 years of records with 100,000 people to show this is how slumps go.
Wow.
5 months. So rather than how to turn around, I'd rather avoid it.
Gotcha.
See, I have a mortal fear. If I'm running my business, I have a mortal fear of a slump. As a result, I didn't have slumps because I had a mortal fear. I had a respect for the damage they could do to my business. As a result, that starts from, I started when I was on food stamps and unemployment when I found this business. Came out of all my degree from Georgia Tech and 5 years of success in the construction business. When the economy went down, I was all of a sudden flat down on my face with 2 kids and a wife to support, and the economy had thrown down like a lot of people have been thrown out today. So once I got things going, Joe, I was like you, Joe. You and I didn't have it easy getting started, did we?
No.
We were Michael Jordan. No one said, hey, that's the next Michael Jordan. we had to grind and grovel our way to any kind of success. And so as a result, I had a mortal fear of a slump. Because I knew if you got in the slump, and once you went a downward spiral, you could slump all the way back down to the bottom.
Wow.
So how can you develop rookies? See, the key, this gets into this other area, and we're just talking about why this is important, why you got to have a system for it, is what happens to people that go through this, they become paranoid about it, turning over control. So what they do is they turn into control freaks. So how can you control your numbers, your activity, your growth? How can you control that without being a control freak? This control freak is no good because nobody can develop. And we're not creating robots. We're letting people develop into the best they can be. And nobody is exactly like anybody else. And if you're when you're a control freak, you're always slapping them on the hand, trying to get them to do it like a little robot exactly the way you do it. That makes them scared, intimidated, because they never have confidence, because they're never sure they're doing it exactly the way you want to do it. And control freak really builds you approach to the business, really builds you a stagnant, insecure, fragile type thing. You never really go anywhere with that either, do you? And you've seen that, haven't you, Joe?
Oh, absolutely. I've seen it and experienced it with my team, me personally doing it to them, Absolutely.
Oh, have you? I mean, do we have a recovering control freak? Well, at least you admitted it. You're on the road to recover.
Yeah, I'm off. I'm off the road. I'm on the road. I'm on the wagon still. Can't fall off.
Yeah. So here's how I did. I don't know how. So what have you learned? What have you found so far, like, are steps that you've learned now? Because you have slumps. You have control. You turn the control. You delegate it over them so they can do it. It falls apart. Then you take control back. You start. You stop. Usually you learn some things. What are some things you've learned along the way so I don't duplicate what you already know about? But we're talking about how to avoid slump, how to develop great leaders out of your training center without throwing your future away. You can build independent. The thing is, you and I talked about this, is like how to build independent, responsible leaders. They're responsible for getting the job done. They're independent. They have their own ways of doing it, but they're trustworthy. And by the time the month is over, they're bringing the numbers in. If you give them the football, they're going to take it into the end zone. So how do you do that? What have you learned about that? What do you know about that you feel good about?
Well, a couple things. One is that when there is a slump coming on, or I'm with you, I try to avoid that. I try to predict when the team is going down. So the fastest way to do it is to, one, find a new hero or a rabbit that could take away all the excuses so that people could chase him, a new fireball. Number two is find a couple of key leaders on your team that could sell out to doing something big quick, doing massive activity, break some records, throw out some competitions, and that way we could stir up the recruiting and then just plow right through. That's really focus. And I think one of the keys is when you really look at the business, I always look at, December is that time of the year where people start getting disfocused and the slump starts to come. So, I always look at how can I stir up the recruiting, stir up the activity, so that way we get off the fast start in January so we don't fall too far. Because, if you look at the numbers, you see historically, December's numbers are lower than any month of the year. So how do you not go down too far to where it takes too long to recover?
Right. And the main thing is that one thing you do a good job of, and Frank's always did a good job, is you constantly know what the numbers are, right?
Yeah. Yep.
You're constantly monitoring every successful business knows exactly where they are, the numbers that matter. And while Sandy Weil was running Travelers on the way up to becoming Citigroup, on to become the number one company in the world before it did its face plant when he stepped out, he would have all day long, people would, while the stock market was open, every 15 minutes, somebody would come up to him and hand him a piece of paper that had the stock price of the company, and he would know every 15 minutes all day long from while the market was open how they were doing. He knew, because that was the key number. We have other key numbers, but he knew that led to the growth. And when he went home at night, he knew how the stock had done. He would take the numbers. He would take numbers home with him, and he would look, instead of watching TV, he would pour through the books every night. So he kept up with. There was a lot of numbers to keep up with, but those one of the lessons you've learned is always know the numbers. And I found that in our business, anytime you talk to a star, they know the numbers. They know what they're doing, they know what their people are doing, and they know what other people are doing because they plan to win. But so, how do you go beyond this? Are you curious in knowing how you go beyond this right here, which are the normal things that top people do, how you can take it another notch?
Yeah,
well,
absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, well, let's do this. Let's do that in the next one. Let me show you how I did it.